Are we ready? Turn it to
Yeah. What? What with that?
It's too big, innit?
Eh?
It's too big, innit?
What?
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. What am I doing with that? Huh?
Eh?
What am I doing with that?
You'll pass your way.
Fuck off. Not even for that.
Eh?
Not even for that.
It is just for angles.
Pitch, isn't it?
No. I'll also tell you what angle things are at.
Yeah, but where's the straight line? What are you on about?
Right, you put it against the face of your board there, all
Yeah.
the way round.
What? That?
Yeah, and then you work out where it is.
That says 45.
I looks roughly about 45.
That one it is. Then. Technically.
Do you want to drop on the bevel?
Yeah.
Which one?
That one you're just going to now.
That one. Ready? Very, yeah. You didn't measure that.
Well, that's all the cedar soffit finished completely on the scaffolding side. We've still got a bit to do around the side, but already look at the difference. Looking up now, it's all blocked in, all finished, nice and neat. And like I said, we're not going to really get the final full feeling of it until all the scaffolding's down and we can see it like very clearly, but I think it's going to be quite a shock. So what I wanted to do is, some of you are probably thinking, I don't remember the old turret looking this good, and you are right. In principle, it's the same turret, it's the same roof. We just made a few very small little tweaks that have really made all the difference. So, number one is this cedar soffit that we've been doing. So not only was it not made out of cedar, it actually wasn't closed up originally. From all the pictures that we can see, the underneath of this hat was all open. You could see right to the top, you could see all the structure. It's one of the reasons we knew how to make it the size it was, but by closing it in, it's kind of bulked the hat of the turret and this flare out a bit, made it more solid and chunky, and I think visually it's just cleaned everything up. It's really tied it back into the building. Now, number two is the windows. Now, the windows look for some reason dramatically different, but actually there's not much difference in them compared to the old ones. So the measurement we took was the whole dimension of the window, so from the outside edge to the outside edge, from the top to the bottom, and we kind of took that square and we estimated how big that would be. And all we did is, instead of making the window within that square, we made the actual glass of the window the size. So I'd say in real terms, we've extended the window by about something like 10 centimeters either side, but because as well as extending it, we slimmed the whole frame down. You can see that on the original one, it was very chunky windows with smaller glass in, so we've made this frame itself a lot slimmer, so the window itself looks a lot bigger. And what that's done is just seemingly put the windows back in proportion to the turret. So it now no longer looks like tiny windows at the bottom of this big expansive turret. They look about the right size, and we took the measurements from the other windows in the chateau and replicated that on the turret, so everything seamlessly joins together a lot more, I think. Number three is we've added guttering. Now, there wasn't any guttering on the turret originally. I think actually there was probably some on the back side because we've seen downpipes, but all the pictures we've seen, and we found no evidence because we found a bit of the flare actually on the terrace that had slid down. There was no guttering on that either. So what we did is we took the original hangman measurement and we added 25 centimeters to the end of that. And then that allowed us space for the guttering, and we obviously put this very exaggerated guttering on because we wanted to kind of make a statement with it as well as add this guttering. So what that's done is not only made the turret seem wider because we've got 25 centimeters on each side, 50 overall, we've added this big band of copper as well, which has added just this different element. So two things: one, visually it's a lot better, I think, personally, and I'm maybe a bit biased about that. But number two is we're stopping wear and tear on the building by adding guttering. Water's not just falling down from the turret, and it just makes everything neater, looks more cared for and more tied in again. Number five is the use and, well, the non-use of copper on the roof. Originally, everything on this chateau was zinc, and we're doing pretty much the same thing. We're just changing the zinc for the copper. So like the finials at the top are in the same style with the same little railing going all the way around. They're just going to be in copper. Obviously we've exaggerated the features. We've made more of a feature of the window, putting these nice patterns in and stuff. They're all in copper. But more importantly, one big difference is we took away the edging strip on the roof. So where the two corners meet, and I know this is all controversial and I will talk about that probably in the Sunday videos about how these corners meet and how they're going to be waterproof. So instead of putting the flashing all the way down, to just sink looked kind of clumsy, and what it did is make the tower look a lot skinnier. So when you get to the top, obviously because the flashing's coming in, the tower looks really skinny. And by not having that, we've managed to slate right to the corners, and now the whole thing looks wider. You may be asking, well, how did you know how big to build the turret? And actually, that was one really easy thing. We had a bit of trial and error. You saw the video of me and Nick putting the big A-frame up, made just out of like the thin wood, just to have a test of our theory. But in principle, it was pretty easy. So the hangmen, the big bits of wood that decided how much the flare came out, we had about 2 or 3 of them already lying around, so we could very clearly see how much that flare came out by how big these hangmen were. We could then see the bit that went in the wall to see what angle they were sat at, if they were sat perfectly level or, you know, a different angle, so we knew that. We found a wooden beam on the top of the wall, the very top plate of the wall, and that was pinned back by these big metal pins. So that means that we had the top dimension, so where the hangman, the flare kind of met the roof, we had that dimension. And then what we did was, from all the old pictures, we measured one very specific window. It was one that we could get to, one that looked in proportion, you know, it wasn't skewed by being on the perimeter of the chateau by the lens or anything. We took that window, we took the measurement on the photo, and we simply just saw how many of that window fit into the roof, that way, and then we knew how big the turret was going to be. Obviously, once we drew it all out, we put that template up just to check, is it a bit higher, and then we got our final, you know, we kind of narrowed it down. So if you look at the old pictures and you play about with this window, how many windows go into the top and the bottom, you realize that we've done the turret pretty much, I would say, exactly the same size. Obviously there's room for error there, but as you look at the turret, by making all these little changes that we made, the whole thing looks and feels different, and I think it's for the better. It looks kind of wider, more substantial. It marries in to the other roofs a lot better. The windows look more in proportion, and altogether I think it's going to go from something that seemed this weird add-on thing at the top of the chateau, you know, this weird kind of extra kind of Addams Family haunted house kind of hat thing. And you'll just see it now once the scaffold's down, and you go, yeah, it all just fits together, all the lines work. Anyway, I'm excited for this to be nearly done. I'm super excited for the scaffolding to come back. We've got another little bit of soffit work to do tomorrow, but then the roof is back tomorrow as well. He's going to get rid of all the slate stuff. We're going to start tidying up, doing the last bits, ready to take it down. See you tomorrow.